Stepping into one's own personal power is to be truthful in one's expression and not speak out of fear. The monkey here is being devoured by a wolf representing the fears, the field of fear, our programming, dog eats, dog world, the chaos, anticipating the chaos, and the monkey mind, our mind being consumed by it. And here we are stepping into the monad, the old ancestral soul, being also called by Aborigines from Australia as a dingo, which is the same name as a dog, but also a name that they have for monad, a spirit that is ancestral, connected to nature, and is very powerful. They're water dividers and creators of worlds. Here we have the dog. We have, in our modern world, had so accustomed to this kind of way of living where by force and by pushing and intimidating, people get their way, manipulating, or if they can just get one up on you, if they can somehow shush you down so you don't express your truth, maybe if they scream loud enough, or if they repeat over and over on TV, commercial media, or constantly interrupt so you don't get to express yourself or put your stance into the world, or your true voice cannot be heard. And what they're yelling about, what the ego is yelling about is, I don't need your help. I can do it all by my muscle, by my elbow, and I am better than you, and I can do it all by myself. I don't need you and your spiritual guidance of the higher self. I don't need my true self. I don't need to be kind. I don't need to do anything. I can just basically bulldozer over people. And this type of gray wolf is also represented in all texts by the great works such as Tower of Alchemy by the writer Goddard, which expresses the wolf as a devourer of life force in a very predatory way. It also acts as almost a catalyst to creating that Buddha, which basically the wolf consumes the personality. The wolf will completely cause a disaster, the worst case scenario kind of disaster, so that the crystallized Buddha can be born out of the mud and ashes. But how many times in these cycles of over and over, life after life after life after life, we have to succumb to these fears and believe all these lies that are being told to us how weak we are. We are powerful spiritual beings here to express. And here the steam is happening, which is water being evaporated, the water and cups being represented by emotions. So allowing those emotions evaporate and being like water, standing like water and calming the lake is like getting hold of that emotion, but in a way that no matter what kind of chaos will be there, to be okay with just being the drop of water. For instance, years ago, I wrote a poem. It was around 9/11, and I said in that poem, I am only a drop of water. It is the ocean, the waves, only the rush of waves rushing on the rocks. And we were going into the war, and I was going into the worst case scenarios, and the world will be ending. But my higher self told me, you can let go and you can let yourself smile. And that's how I ended that poem. It's only the whole water the quantum field of fear rushing itself on the rocks. But we don't have to believe that tale over and over and over. We don't need to be consumed in this predatory wave over and over. And there's a story about this great ape, the gorilla I saw in the zoo around the same time. It felt very intimidated by all these crowds of loud people, obnoxious visitors. It was hitting itself in the chest. It had like this anxiety, panic attack. It was really running around, and I could feel its anxiety. It was just so painful to watch. And somehow I stepped into my whisperer, and I just said in my mind towards him, we come here to remember who we are, because we lost our way, our natural way. We lost our natural rhythm. We're just coming to observe you so we can remember, please. And he calmed down and he sat down. He sat down and became very, very calm, like water. He became like that calm lake, but calm like I could never even. It was mind-boggling. Like I could step in with him into that calmness of contemplation. And I was just so glad to have that being experienced in me, because I would suffer and still suffer by anxiety. And he felt that moment of that stillness. It felt so invigorating and so empowering, because we always feel like we have to do by toil and by sweating and toiling to change things in our lives and to push so much harder. And when does the pushing stop? When do we actually get to live our life and be? So about the dingo that I mentioned, the Aboriginal name for original ancestors of the land, there were people, not like Yeti or snowman, but it is sort of like a myth about these spiritual beings of great power that would be able to do miracles and with water, and basically it steps into that tribal remote areas of even people from Hawaii or Polynesia have similar myths in history, same as Anastasia, the books of Vladimir Megre from Siberia, as the original, or the Tarzan, people that are free people living diversion evolution. So from Homo sapiens, not going into that society kind of life, but we're sticking through that nomad kind of life, and didn't absorb the new ways of so to call better ways of